both the government of Nigeria and the people of Nigeria. One of the flagships of this transformational agenda, which has been driven for the last 4 years by Professor Sambo, has been the review of the operational guidelines, which represents the fundamental parameter for the definition, the monitoring, enforcement of standards that will guarantee greater efficiency in the delivery of service within the health insurance ecosystem of our dear country. The process has been completed. The guidelines have been efficiently reviewed, and approval has been obtained for the new document, and today the Honorable Minister is here to put his stamp of authority on this document and commend the document to all Nigerians and stakeholders for implementation. And today, therefore, we are gathered, all of us, to provide support to the Honorable Minister as he presents the new approved operational guidelines of the NHIA. So, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for coming. Thank you for the efforts we have made to be a part of this historic event this morning. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. That is Ayo Selu. Should I just say immediate past GM of all the comms, and we have a special name for him. Can anybody remind me? The Crown Master. Thank you so very much. It's a wonderful day, and having the Honorable Minister here with us, the Coordinating Minister for Health and Social Welfare, it's also an added value of the seriousness of why we are gathered here today. And having my sister here, the Senior Special Advisor to Mr. President on Health, the first person to have ever held that office, and she's a woman. So all the women in the hall, thank you. I thought I was going to hear the same when I introduced my, now I can't actually, my younger brother, you know, the Honorable Minister. Can we please put our hands together for him? For me, this is an exciting moment. Haven't followed through from day one when health insurance was launched in Nigeria. The history we have to put in perspective at some time. And I know that our authentic professor, the executive officer of the National Health Insurance Agency, would give permission for us to put history in perspective, because that's one thing about him. And the fact that he wants us to understand our yesterday so that our today will be smoother, let's give him a round of applause. I saw he actually wore his agbada about 45 minutes ago. He came, you know, making sure things are right, and that's the way it should be. So thank you very much. Ayo and myself will be navigating through today, and will make it as professional as possible, knowing that the Honorable Minister is in a hurry, not to leave us, but to get the job going. So for a start, I'd just like to give us a historical background, just to remind us of the seriousness of today. Health insurance in Nigeria has been implemented for many years, but the National Health Insurance Act 2004 had several challenges for any new child. And today I just want to bring to memory Professor Lambo. You remember Eyitayo Lambo was the one during his time as the Minister of Health who brought this to fore. So the act was not very clear about some roles of the scheme, as it was called then, and its relationship to other stakeholders. It did not recognize, well, some of these challenges are recognition of the states, did not provide for mandatory participation. It did not reflect the Basic Health Care Provision Fund as later established by the National Health Act of 2014. There were no mechanism to pay for vulnerable populations. The National Health Insurance Act was signed by the former President Muhammadu Buhari GCFR on May 19, 2022, thus repealing the National Health Insurance Scheme Act. The Act makes NHIA a promoter, regulator, and integrator of all health insurance schemes in Nigeria. It addresses many of the challenges of the old law. 3 committees were formed to drive the implementation of the NHI Act, and the Committee for the Development of the Operational Guidelines was one of them. The old operational guidelines, which was based on NHIA Act 2004, was not in alignment with the NHIA Act. Furthermore, there have been many developments in terms of policy, technology, research that have taken place both locally and globally since the old operational guidelines were developed in 2012 that needed to be incorporated. Developing the new guidelines involved reviewing the old guidelines and identifying the gaps, as well as reviewing the National Health Insurance Agency Act and understanding what needed to be put in place to effectively implement it. It involved a lot of stakeholder engagement, deliberations, reviews, and finally the approval of the Honorable Minister of Health. Today we are gathered to unveil the guidelines for the benefit of humanity, especially Nigerians, especially the most vulnerable in our society. And I think we need to put our hands together for this development, because life is a continuum, and this is what has brought about this act. So please, I would ask us to be as energetic as possible and generous with your applause, so that we can together move the National Health Insurance Agency forward faster than we knew it and faster than it is. On this premise, Honorable Minister, sir, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to call through some of the dignitaries that are here, but let me just say that everyone is important. I wish we had had this maybe in some village, and I'm sure that the DG is planning so that we can take it to the grassroots where the most vulnerable reside. I'd like to quickly recognize Dr. Benedict Opala, Chairman, Association of Health Insurance Practitioners of Nigeria. Please wave your hands, or if you're there, let us just know. Yeah, they're coming here. Please, can I invite you to come to this other side of the hall? I'd like also to recognize Dr. Jimmy Arigba Lowo. Did I call that right? Okay. Thank you for echoing that. Chairman, Health Care Providers Association of Nigeria. Please, can I invite you to this side of the hall? Dr. Simeon Oyemachi, Chairman, Forum of Chief Executives of State Social Health Insurance Agency of Nigeria. First Executive Secretary of the National Health Insurance Scheme, Dr. Mohammed Leki. Please, can you make your way here as well? Thank you very much. He was here on time, and we do not take that for granted. I'd also like to quickly go through the list. Dr. Jide Idris is here. Dr. Jide Idris is in his record. So please let me invite him here. Thank you as always, sir, for being present. Quickly, Honorable Minister, let me just run through this list so that we know that we are fully represented here. Thank you very much. I know that, yes, do we have a chair for the NMA president, Dr. Uche R. Ojina? Do you have a seat with him? Yes, okay. But is he here now? All right. I'll run through the list again. From the NSCDC, we have Dr. Nguyi Namdi. You're welcome, sir. Yeah, we have also, yeah, you can't come to the table if the chair is filled. Thank you. So that we don't have a theater full of too many surgeons and we don't have the nurses to assist. Okay. So we should dilute them, okay. We have Mr. Dr. Leke Oshuni, FMCN Chairman. You're welcome, sir. We also have Miss Judith Tietie from NACA. From NECA, you're welcome. We have also, We have also our development partners. I'll come to their list later. Well, one of our big partners from our development space, we have from USAID, the new Health, Population and Nutrition Office, who is the director, Sinu Kurian. Yes, you're here. Thank you very much. From USAID. Thank you. We have also representing committee of CMDs of the Federal, Baba Adamu, one of our finest surgeons. You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much. From the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, thank you for shelving the strike for now. I hope that we would have not just 30 days of grace, but remaining of the years. Dikachi is also here with us. Pharmacist Ibrahim Benji, Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. You're welcome, sir. Any other list? Okay, this we're done with. And many more to come. I'd like to give special recognition to my brother who says it's important to track the money. He's always in his white and black, who is always saying to us that, is the budget enough? If it's not enough, what have we done with what insurance agency? Please, can you all rise and take a bow? Take a bow. Thank you so very much. Also recognize all the very formidable aides and officers who also came here with the Honorable Minister. There's a particular doctor that I call him young doctor, but for the aged. So I'd like to welcome all of you. It's important today that we don't waste time with a lot of recognitions, but that everyone here is recognized. I just want to take a quick research, a quick one. If you haven't gotten, or you haven't gotten a call today from somebody saying to you that, please, can you send 2,000 naira? We are treating malaria. Don't put up your hands. But if you have gotten one, I had two today, this morning when I was coming. So let's just do a random test. If you please be factual. Somebody must have called you for out-of-pocket medical expense. Okay, let's take. We can. It's not sustainable. We cannot continue to do this. But we now have a platform where we can make things change and make it work. It is on this premise of hope, renewed hope, like His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, would continually remind us, that I'd like to welcome us all. Just before he comes, I'd like also to recognize my colleagues, the Fourth Estate of the REM. Very important. Thank you also for coming.
Thank you, Antumoji. The Honorable Coordinating Minister of Health, our brother, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, the Special Assistant and Special Advisor to the President of Health, our dear sister, Dr. Salma Anas Ibrahim, our senior brother and former CEO of the National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Mustafa Leki, Permanent Secretary and Commissioner of Health in Lagos, Dr. Jide Idris, the President, our President, National Nigerian Medical Association of Nigeria, our elder brother, and one of the heads of the health maintenance organizations in Nigeria, Dr. Akpala, the Chairman, State Health Insurance Agencies Forum, our very good friend and former President HCPAN, Dr. Jimmy Aribabwa, the Deputy Country Reps of the WHO in Nigeria, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the representative of developmental partners, the representative, Dr. Oshini is supposed to have been on the high table, being the chairman of the health maintenance organizations in Nigeria. Please, if we can create a place for him. Dr. Oshini, please can you rise up for recognition before the chair is made for you. The representatives of the international developmental partners here present, representative of CSOs, other distinguished participants, directors and members of the top management of the National Health Insurance Authority, the distinguished media, the security personnel here present, and ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Dr. Moji has given us a very comprehensive lecture of why we are here today. So I feel I should just have aligned with what she has presented. But because I have a written speech, I want to claim the indulgence of the Honorable Minister to permit me to read it, notwithstanding the presentation made by Dr. Moji. I'm truly honored to stand before you today as we mark this significant milestone, the unveiling of the operational guidelines of the National Health Insurance Authority. This occasion is not only momentous one for our organization, but the entire health sector, and indeed Nigerians who have been awaiting this guideline since the last edition in 2020 signed into law 10 years after in 2022. Today, after a complex process of engagements, deliberations, reviews, and approvals, we finally gather to unveil the guidelines, which stand as a testament of our commitment to the renewed hope agenda of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for the renewed health, well-being, and productivity of all Nigerians. This document is crucial because it is a secondary law. It clarifies roles, responsibilities, and it also embodies the principles of equity, quality, and sustainability. Before signing the National Health Act into law on May 19, 2022, all attempts to protect the good citizens of Nigeria from catastrophic effects of high medical bills through health insurance yielded suboptimal results. The old law was limited as there was neither provision for mandatory participation nor mechanisms to pay for vulnerable populations, which are two critical ingredients for the attainment of universal health coverage. The NHIA Act 2022 has therefore laid the foundation for transformative healthcare system, one that genuinely aspires to leave no one behind, ensuring that every individual, regardless of their background, geographical location, or financial status, can access the quantum and the quality of healthcare services that they require, whenever and wherever they need it, without the risk of financial hardship. The Act has also provided for the much needed traction for achieving universal health coverage by empowering the NHIA to promote, integrate, and regulate all health insurance schemes in Nigeria. All these innovations in the Act necessitated the development of the new operational guideline, and I must at this point recognize the unrelenting efforts and commitment of the legislators of the 9th National Assembly to getting the law passed and assented by the former president. We thank you all and look forward to having an equally fruitful relationship with the 10th National Assembly as we work towards implementing the Act. From the day NHIA Act came into effect, the NHIA has worked assiduously in close relationship with relevant stakeholders to develop guidelines that will operationalize the Act. The process was characterized by thoughtful collaboration, extensive research, and careful consideration of international best practices. It also leveraged the experiences we have gathered in over 20 years of implementing health insurance in Nigeria. The guidelines clarify the roles and responsibility of all stakeholders within the national health insurance ecosystem. They specify the basic minimum package of health services for all Nigerians and how the schemes will strategically purchase these services across the country. The guidelines specify standards for accreditation of critical stakeholders operating within the national health insurance ecosystem, as well as penalties for offenses committed by defaulting stakeholders. The document also recognizes the integration of state health insurance agencies as conceptualized in the national health as the health insurance under World Coordination Framework. I'm convinced that the NHIA operational guideline will be the guiding light for our nation's health insurance ecosystem. I also believe these guidelines are the roadmap to the better healthier future we collectively envision for ourselves as a country. One of the cornerstones of this guideline is the principle of equity. We firmly believe that every citizen of this great nation has right to healthcare services that are not only accessible but also affordable. No one should have to choose between their health and their financial stability. As such, the operational guidelines have provided the framework for operationalizing the vulnerable group funds as provided by the National Health Insurance Act 2022. I must underscore the fact that this provision as encapsulated in section 25, 26, and 27 of the new law is one of the game changer in the implementation of the National Health Insurance, because you cannot have a universal health coverage where more than 100% of the citizens are living below poverty line and therefore cannot afford to pay. Something has to be done by the nation to see how resources can be mobilized to cover for them. It gladdens my heart that the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President has considered providing coverage for at least 50 million Nigerians within the first tenure of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the Vulnerable Group Fund is the catalyst for actualization of this lofty goal. I will not fail to mention that this operational guideline further reiterates our commitment to the success of the National Health Insurance Medicine Supply Initiative. Only last week, we signed a memorandum of understanding with 12 companies who will be manufacturing in the first phase 33 different kind of drugs with NHIA inscription. This will address the myriads of problems that we are confronted with in the implementation of health insurance. Drugs will be branded with NHIA inscription so that anywhere you go, if that drug is prescribed to you, you won't claim that it is a fake or substandard. In fact, on Thursday, we have a meeting with the DG NAFDAC where we will make a press release about this effort that we are doing, because it's a groundbreaking event in ensuring that Nigerians have access to quality drugs using this initiative. The NHIA recently signed a memorandum of understanding with 12 indigenous pharmaceutical companies to provide much needed medicine and affordable prices for health insurance ecosystem. This aligns with the drive for medical industrialization as envisioned by the 4-point agenda of our Honorable Coordinating Minister. We are all aware, I'm sure we are all aware, the Honorable Minister has already unveiled 4-point agenda, One of them is medical industrialization. So this drug initiative has perfectly fit into this agenda because it will empower the pharmaceutical companies resident in Nigeria to be manufacturing drugs for our consumption. Nigeria has a large market, and Nigeria has the intellectuals to be able to achieve that. Honorable Minister, sir, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm deeply proud of our stakeholders and partners' commitment and dedication in developing these guidelines. I firmly believe that with wide-ranging and transparent consultation that went through development of this NHIA operational guidelines, it will be well received and dutifully implemented by all concerned stakeholders. To the current and future enrollees of the national insurance ecosystem, I restate the commitment of NHIA to provide the needed leadership and regulatory oversight. NHIA is poised to ensure, based on the provision of this new NHIA Act, regulate, promote, and integrate the entire health insurance ecosystem. And we are working assiduously to provide an overarching framework that will enable us to regulate. As we unveil these operational guidelines today, we do so with profound sense of responsibility and a renewed sense of purpose. We are embarking on a journey that will redefine healthcare in our nation as we aspire to make Nigeria a reference point in Africa and the world. Interestingly, this morning when I stepped in, Dr. Ogodembe of what's his Cedar Crest. Dr. Ogodembe, please can you rise for recognition? He has done so well. Dr. Ogodembe told me that he went to South Africa. He saw South Africa doing exactly what we are doing with our NHIA law. And he was wondering whether we copied from them or they are copying from us. And I said, there is no gainsaying the fact that they are copying from us, because we made a presentation in Chatham House last year, and the Chatham House believed that the Nigeria has developed a framework that should be copied by all countries in Africa. So Dr. Ogodembe, they are copying from us. We have gone far, and if they need tutelage, we are ready to provide the guidance to them. We welcome you to join us on this journey of renewed hope to ensure that every citizen that can lead a healthier and more prosperous life. In conclusion, I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to grace this occasion and honor us with your presence. Thank you, and God bless all of us. Thank you.
Well, Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, that's been the Director General of the NHIA, Professor M.N. Sample, presenting his welcome address. Like we highlighted earlier, the NHIA has undergone such a tremendous reform that today everyone who is associated with the agency stands very tall, very proud to say that I am a part of the system. Some of the tools that were deployed to accomplish the reforms we're talking about include the health insurance under one roof, particularly and fundamentally the new NHIA Act, the introduction of gift ship, the medicine supply initiative, and so many other such tools. But ladies and gentlemen, the fulcrum of all of that is the fact that the reforms are emerging from a platform of policy, structural, infrastructural reforms that have been driven by the mindset of Professor Mohammed Nasser Sambo, and it took only this way for the whole organization to team up behind him and run the race. And today, the results are showing, the fruits are manifesting, and Nigerians are beginning to get the result. Now, quickly, we'll just proceed and yes, we'll just quickly proceed now and take the goodwill messages of some of the partners and associates of NHI who are here with us in the hall this moment.
Thank you very much. Our host, the Honorable Minister of the FCT, is here with us. But I hear that this building has the C of O, so we're very safe here. And so we will not expect the bulldozers. He's on a mission to get the FCT back to track. Representing him today with all the might of that office is Dr. Aminat Zakari, Acting Director, Federal Insurance. Thank you very much. Yes, we need to make the applause louder so that all the grounds on which my Honorable Minister and Coordinating Minister of Health is standing has C of O and is guaranteed. We're moving on quickly. I'd like to call on the NECA representative for the first goodwill message. Please, I beg. All the protocols have been laid down. Just go straight to your address, and you have a maximum of 2 minutes to deliver your goodwill message. We'll start from NECA. Yes, please. Our representative from NECA. Okay. All right. NECA is not here. We'll start from the top, and we need an endorsement from Geneva. So we have the endorsement of the WHO, who have been very much involved in what we are putting forward to the public today. Representing WHO here is the Deputy WHO Representative in Nigeria, Dr. Alice Chimbaru, who would kick off the goodwill messages. Thank you. Let's welcome him warmly.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies, Honorable Minister of Health, the DG, NHI, representative to advisor to the President, all protocols observed. I'm here representing the WHO country representative, so I have to go through the speech. I'll try to shorten as advised. I'm most delighted to join you today at this landmark event, the unveiling of the NHI operational guideline of 2023. This indeed marks the official commencement of the implementation of the NHI Act of 2022, which has the potential for repositioning health as a right of citizens and an enabler of economic development. Let me first congratulate you, the Honorable Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, on this milestone, as well as the DG, NHI. This actually fits into your health priorities in line with the renewed hope of Mr. President towards universal health coverage and health security in Nigeria. As you are aware, UHC is a political as well as a health decision, and countries choose their journeys towards UHSI with the dimensions of population coverage, service coverage, and cost coverage. Developing these guidelines for the operationalization of the NHI Act 2022 therefore is expected to accelerate these while addressing the design challenges of the then National Health Insurance Scheme in terms of making health insurance mandatory, removing fragmentation, ensuring cross-standard subsidization, and institutionalization of risk equalization. Honorable Coordinating Minister, esteemed partners, ladies and gentlemen, The burden of out-of-pocket and the catastrophic expenditure in Nigeria is enormous and indeed requires uncommon approaches if the SDGs are to be achieved. It is my hope that the promise of Mr. President to cover vulnerable Nigerians with health insurance will find immediate expression in these guidelines with implementation of the Vulnerable Group Fund. WHO is there to support member states, organizations, and has continued to support the government in Nigeria in their ongoing efforts towards reducing the number of people suffering financial hardships due to illness. We are more committed as an organization in providing technical support to the NHI and SSHIAs, considering that effective implementation of these guidelines will require sustained capacity building, supportive supervision, and advocacy. Finally, I would like to end by most sincerely appreciating all experts, partners, stakeholders, and beneficiaries who assiduously worked with us in the technical committee under the leadership of NHIA to craft these guidelines. Let us now together arise with a collective resolution and commitment and fast-track diligent implementation of this document to accelerate the health, well-being, and economic prosperity of people of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We had the fortunes to receive a significant addition to this audience in the course of WHO's Goodwill message, and that's with the arrival of the Honorable Minister of State for Education, Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu. Until now, the Honorable Minister was particularly in the 9th House, Chairman of the House Committee on Health, and has been a great supporter and promoter of the interests and activities of the NHIA. And again, he is here today, even in the context of his consistent support for the agency. We are grateful, Honorable Minister. We have on our corporate records your support for the agency. The Minister will be speaking a Goodwill message in a while, but I know you know that we need to let him catch his breath, settle down, grab a bottle of water, and then be ready to speak to you shortly after here. Can we please invite the representative of the National Employers Consultative Assembly, NECA, for the 1 minute of Goodwill message. NECA, please. Okay, the Dr. Oshuni, sir, the chairman of the body of the HMOs. The Health Managed Care Association of Nigeria, HIMCA. Dr. Oshuni is chairman.
Thank you very much. Sir, madam, permit me to stand on existing protocol so we can move quickly. When the NHIS law, the NHIS decree as it was then known, was passed by the Abu Salami Abubakar administration on the 29th of May 1999, we quickly rushed to get copies and analyze the decree. And to our great disappointment, it was a flawed document from the very beginning. It was not mandatory in any sense at all. It was optional. It has taken 23 years, or it took 23 years from that 29th of May, 23 years, less 7 days, till the 19th, or less 10 days, till the 19th of May 2022, before we got another law, which this time was mandatory. And not only that, it took into consideration the vulnerable in our society, whose numbers have increased tremendously. And I wish to formally thank the DG of the NHIA who made this possible. He spared no effort in ensuring that he communicated with the House. The chairman of the Ninth Assembly is here, and also with the Senate, who moved to make the law a reality. And today is the aftermath of the passage of that law, and we need to thank God that it has come to fruition. Ladies and gentlemen, please give the DGNHI a round of applause, because he used techniques which I cannot repeat here, but he followed the president, the then President General Muhammadu Buhari, all over the world to ensure that he got his attention and was able to sign that. Thank you very much, sir. You did this patriotic thing for the country and for the people of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shuni. I'd like to quickly recognize the Director General of the National Center for Senior Citizens, Dr. Emma Makaro. Dr. Makaro, thank you for joining us. Welcome, please. And on behalf of the DG of NHIA, I also like to recognize and thank the members of our online community. This activity has been streamed live, and we have a global audience that is huge across the globe, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and we are deploying more of the elements. So wherever you are across the world, we want to thank you very much. We present the gratitude of the DG of NHIA and welcome to this event. Thank you for joining us. Quickly now we would receive as well. Thank you, Doctor. Please, can we give a hand to our friends online, please? Thank you very much. Now, I'd like to invite Dr. Benedict Opala, who's chairman of the Association of Health Insurance Practitioners of Nigeria, just for his own minute of goodwill message. Dr. Opala, I saw him. Oh, okay.
Thank you. The Honorable Coordinating Minister for Health and Social Welfare, the DG NHIA, the Honorable Minister for Education that just came in, all the members of the High Table, and I still stand on the existing protocol. Usually, each time I come to talk, I just say my mind about what's happening in NHIA and the relationships between NHIA and the common man on the street. Health insurance is always it's a public-private partnership. And me standing here as representing the HMO, I'm on the private sector. And I still say what's happening on the people in the private sector. We're so happy what the group in NHIS that have been on having sleepless nights, all the members, all the committees, to bring this thing we're going to do today to fruition. I've always told them that once we achieve this, it is like NHS in London. Out of pocket payment for your treatment is gone. And the common man on the street will benefit. I can't see anybody sick again if we succeed in what we are doing. I can't see anybody in the street saying that he does not have any doctor to talk to. Then finally, we still have a lot of work to do, because once we unveil this thing we have today, we now go to sensitization. And then we'll see what is happening to the common man. I was unhappy when the DG said that they are going to roll in 50 million Nigerians. Last year we were talking 80 million. So isn't it so? Today we're now talking 50 million. And then we're trying to get universal health coverage of 200 million. So when are we going to achieve that? Well, on behalf of my association, I'm telling him that we'll give him all the support. He's done so well. Since 1999 till date, I've been observing NHIS to NHIA, and it's been a steady progress. So I thank your team. I thank the team of Agada and Co, who have been working tirelessly every night to get us to where we are today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Quickly now, ladies and gentlemen, can I please invite your attention as we bring to the microphone the Honorable Minister of State for Education, the Honorable Minister, Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu.
The Honorable Coordinating Minister for Health and Social Welfare, the Special Advisor to the President on Health, the Director General of National Health Insurance Scheme, the #1 doctor in the country and NMA President, a very close friend of mine, my elder in medical profession, a seasoned administrator, Dr. Jide Idris, other members on the high table, gentlemen, the pressmen, good morning. First of all, let me apologize for coming late. It wasn't my habit. I was in another program, but considering the importance of this program, I have rushed and joined the session. I hope my apology will be accepted. Let me start by thanking God Almighty Allah for this day, and also for thanking Mr. President for scouting and sourcing intelligent, committed Nigerians that were saddled with responsibility to reposition health in Nigeria. All of us must recognize the sacrifices of the coordinating minister. For him to make single decision of living where he was to add to our brain gain rather than promoting the brain drain. I think it's something. These are where people are thinking to be. He was there and decided to be back to the country. And so also the Minister of State for Health. That's excellent, and I believe that together we can salvage, we can key into the agenda of Mr. President and work hard to salvage this country. I said today is a very good moment for us because we have an instrument, the Act of the National Assembly, that has brought a lot of changes that is going to improve and change the narrative of healthcare delivery in the country. Right now, the percentage is not only unacceptable, that to say today, purchases for healthcare is almost 70% out of pocket. At WLI, it becomes unacceptable, and therefore, we must all work together to ensure that we improve, we change the narrative. And the only way we can do that is to have a continuous and effective pool of resources that we can utilize to improve on healthcare delivery. And the only way is through the insurance schemes so that we can be all our brothers' keepers. And the Ninth Assembly has worked hard to ensure that an instrument is provided to guide such undertaking. While the Act stipulated, but there are certain areas that require guidelines on how to approach such. So today, that document has been produced, and we are ready to unveil it. And I think we must congratulate the Director General for this wonderful addition. And in fact, we also have to congratulate him for ensuring stability. And I think this is the only time so far in the near future that we had
somebody running the affairs for more than 3 years. And I think that's why we have our decision. So I must congratulate you, and please try to establish institutional memory so that the institution can continue to enjoy stability in the health system. Secondly, also, I must further call on you to strengthen your drive. I know in the 9th Assembly, over the last 4 years, the National Assembly has contributed over 800 million in terms of yearly zonal intervention to sponsor people from their own constituency. And I think if you insist and continue with that drive, you will be lucky to attract virtually 50% of all the zonal intervention. And I assure you that is enough to take care of health in Nigeria. So I think the coordinating minister too, you can use your influence to also approach National Assembly. Let us know the value, let us view it. In my community, I know before, in the last 4 years, I've sponsored over 10,000 people. And up till now, over 3,000 are enjoying the benefit of services rendered by the National Health Insurance Authority, and I think we can make it better. Finally, let me say that the implementation is very, very important and necessary. And it's not all over, but we must also have to study the Act so that where there is need for amendment, it can easily be done. At this junction, I also want to call on the attention of the Minister. There are many other bills that we have succeeded in passing in the 9th Assembly, but unfortunately could not get the assent of Mr. President. And such laws include Public Emergency Health Bill, which I believe is a very, very important bill that we have to. We must also note that the bill, the Establishment Act of NAFDAC is also being reviewed. So also Fed Drug, Unwholesome Products, and other miscellaneous act of NAFDAC has also been amended, but yet to get the assent. Honorable Minister, you may wish to know that the current law we have cannot do anything to deter business as usual in the marketing of fake drug and unwholesome product. I think the highest penalty in that bill is it's not more than 50,000 naira. And I think we have to do something. So we have made the effort. So it's high time that the ministry takes those important amendments. So also the act establishing the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. As it is, we are operating National Primary Healthcare Development Agency under one roof without a parking. And that amendment tends to improve on it and then produce a legal framework for that. Honorable Minister, I think if we can pursue those acts that were amended and have them signed, I assure you that it will make your work much easier, and it will further protect this country from the menace of unscrupulous elements that are ready to always bring fake drugs in the country and are always ready to drag our healthcare services backward. I wish you a very successful tenure, and I also want to wish all of us in this current administration to have an easier way of making this country better and safer for average Nigerians. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
We thank you very much, Honorable Minister of State. We thank you for the insight and your continued commitment. We'll quickly just pause on Goodwill message for now and go on straight to the next item on the program, which is synopsis of NHIA Operational Guidelines 2023, to be delivered by
Dr. Yakubu Agada, Director, SQA, NHIA. Help me encourage him, please. May you too encourage yourself in the Lord.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, the Minister of State for Education, the DG NHIA. I'd like to align myself with the protocol that has already been established. So quickly, we take the next few minutes to look at the synopsis of the NHIA operational guideline. This is the outline. And so on May 19, 2022, the former President Buhari, GCFR, signed the NHIA Act into law. And that immediately repealed the act, the former NHIS Act 2004. And the new act mandated the NHIA to position itself to implement mandatory health insurance for all Nigerians, what the act clearly established. And so with that act, we had to quickly begin the process of moving towards implementation of that act. So we had 4 key objectives we were looking at. The first one was to review the extant law then, the 2012 law, the 2012 operational guideline of the National Health Insurance Scheme. And the next one was to develop the operational guideline in alignment with the new act. That's the NHIA Act of 2022. The third was to itemize the operational modalities for implementing those, the new act. And we were also to develop strategies for the transfer of knowledge. I will discuss that as we go on. And so, briefly, this is to say that in preparing this operational guideline, a lot of collaboration went into it. And to also let us know that NHIS then had begun the process of putting together a document. But we were deliberate about it because we were also expecting that there was going to be a new act. And so while we were working, we were also looking at the angle of getting the act, the NHIA Act of 2022 approved. And so the signing of the act into law was a big bang. So once that happened, there was no looking back. We had to move very quickly. And that's what guided us. It propelled us. It moved us forward. It gave us the leverage to really begin to act. We had no hiding place at that point. And so we moved. We had a technical working group who had pieced some documents together from the state offices, from all the stakeholders who were working with that. So quickly we mobilized that, and the DG signed, approved the committee, the internal committee, who did work elaborately. And then we had to also, approve the external committee, which was the real game changer. We had so many people in the room. I will get to the list of all the people who participated in making that operational guideline a reality. So we had the TNC members who are seated to my left here. They also contributed a lot, and we worked collaboratively, and we were able to bring out the operational guideline. I'd like to also remind us that immediately the new law was signed by Mr. President in 2022. The management of NHIA quickly set up 3 committees. Professor Sambo set up a committee on the review of the operational guideline, It was more like a new guideline, a lot of work, because it was a great deviation from what we had under the old Act. And then we had the mandatory health insurance committee, which was to look at how do we make health insurance mandatory in Nigeria. So that committee had also finished their work and is ready for implementation. We also have the Innovative Financing Committee. A very big part of that new act talks about the Vulnerable Group Fund. So we were wondering, how do we operationalize this aspect of the act, which is very important, because these obviously are people who won't be able to buy health insurance. And so that committee has also finished its work, and the report is ready for implementation. So we go into the operational guideline proper. The former operational guideline had 4 sessions, but the new one has 5 sessions. We came up with an entirely new chapter, new session, which is the governance. We felt we needed to clearly come out on this to clearly see the direction to go, because this time the Act has prepared a very clear governance structure for health insurance in Nigeria. And so it captures the vision of NHIA, the mission, the position, the statement, the core values. We also discuss in detail the roles of the stakeholders, of all the players in the health insurance ecosystem. The concept of health insurance under one roof, which also came on board, is one of the initiatives that came on board under the administration of Professor Sambo. We looked at that, and we were able to finally highlight that clearly in the new operational guideline. We look at the authority's role of integration. That was not clear before. We now have 36+1 health insurance schemes as primary health insurance schemes in Nigeria. So we needed to provide a means of integration. That is covered clearly in this operational guideline. The introduction of the NHIA Medicine Supply Initiative was also key. It's a new initiative which we looked at. And so okay, so we also highlighted the source of funding for the operations of the authority. We stated the time frame for review of the operational guideline, which was not clear before then. And then section 2 is on schemes and programs. So it opens with the categorization of health insurance schemes into contributory and non-contributory. And that was good for us to be define who will be able to pay and who won't be able to pay. So we also discussed in detail the target populations in each of these schemes and programs. Regulation of private health insurance became very clear for the first time. It has always been ambiguous and whatever you think, but right now the Act, the new operational guideline, has clearly specified how to regulate private health insurance. We also provided guidance on international health insurance. So Session 2 also discussed the regulation of Vulnerable Group Fund. That was a new session entirely that was developed from the scratch. And then the benefit package, though not deeply reviewed, but we are working towards harmonizing the benefit package under the health insurance ecosystem in Nigeria. We have comprehensive service list for annual medical checkup. We have exclusion list that is well defined. And regulation for claims management was also stated. And for the first time, we had a document that we didn't overload with so much details that makes the document not friendly to people who wants to read. Rather, what we did this time is to establish a good appendix, a section where we move all the details that you may want to consult if you wanted more information. And so session 3 was clearly on accreditation and standard. It discussed the accreditation requirement for the different stakeholders. For the first time, we are bringing in the third-party administrators that were not there. And then we redefined the requirement for HMOs and healthcare facilities, made them clearer and simpler to be able to implement. We also described the roles and obligations of the stakeholders when they are accredited. We had protocols for exit, entry, and exit. Accreditation brings you in, but not just that. When you are going out, there is a detailed, protocol for exit from the program, so we don't leave shocks when people exit from the program. We have detailed protocol on merger and acquisition of HMO. That was also key. Withdrawal of accreditation, we needed to show more transparency and accountability, and that is clearly reflected in that. So session 5 dwelt on data management, and for the first time we have also that well-defined. So in line with all the national laws on data management and all that, we were able, in short, we had people from Nigeria Data Protection Agencies. They were members of the committee, and they advised on where to go. So that was session 4, sorry. Session 5 is on offenses, sanctions, and legal proceeding. This has always been there, but we deepened it even further, and we were able to come up with some. For the first time, we also emphasized so much on, sanctions for beneficiaries who wants to game the system. So this slide talks about some work that we did after we got the approval of the operational guidelines. So this is in different stakeholders that will be necessary. So we have the informal sector, we have the executive, we have the judiciary, we have the legislative. And under each of these big stakeholder group, we also have, the details of the stakeholders. So that was properly captured. And I want to call on the journalists that are here to also challenge us and work with us closely as we begin to do this dissemination. We want these documents and the ideas. We've come out with a fact sheets. 2 fact sheets are there. They are just compressed form of this operational guideline. And I can assure you, if you go through that, if the journalists have access to that, we should broadcast this to the most remote part of Nigeria for people to know about health insurance and what they stand to gain by logging into the system. In conclusion, the NHIA operational guideline is a document that describes in detail the roles of key actors in the health insurance ecosystem and give concise details to the details of the processes to be deployed in promotion, integration, and regulation of health insurance in Nigeria. As I close, I want to appreciate everybody. And if you're here and you're a member of that committee that came up with this operational guideline, can you be on your feet, please, for recognition? There is no way they can be paid during the night, in the daytime, even in the time that we had COVID, we were still running around. When we were doing preparations, we were getting in touch with some people, calling them, doing virtual meetings. If you're a member of that committee, can you be on your feet? I can see Barrister Nikabare. Can you be on your feet, please? Please be on your feet so we can clap for you. This group of people have done something great for the people of Nigeria, and I think we should really appreciate you. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Agada, and congratulations for the fruitfulness of all the work. Honorable Minister, sir, we received into the audience representative of your colleague, Honorable Minister of Labor and Employment, Mrs. Mabel Erastus, Director of Human Resource, Minister of Labor and Employment. She's representing the Honorable Minister. Thank you for joining us. Quickly, also would like to recognize Dr. Nnamdi Nweye, Deputy Commandant General, Crisis Management Directorate of the National Security and Civil Defense Corps. He represents the Commandant General of the Civil Defense Corps. Thank you, sir, for joining us. The pharmaceutical industry is closely associated with NHIA in our processes. The DG just announced that just last week, Wednesday, we signed an MOU with a number of pharmaceutical companies for our medicine supply initiative. So we are delighted to recognize here this morning the Executive Secretary of the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Group of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Frank Mweneme. Thank you for joining us. Also, Dr. Olushola Faleye, Chief of Party, USAID. Thank you for joining us. Welcome indeed. Thank you. And now, quickly, I'd like to introduce our next activity. And it's going to be a remark by the Special Advisor to Mr. President on Health. And like I observed before, if you have a boss who introduces someone to you as his boss, what do we call that? Grand boss. Dr. Salma Ibrahim is boss for Professor M.N. Sambo. So for the rest of us, Dr. Salman is grand boss. Ladies and gentlemen, the grand boss.
Thank you very much. But you know, a desire of a mother is to see that her children are far better than her in their accomplishment. So I'm so proud of Professor Sambo. Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Muhammad Ali Pati, our coordinating minister for the health sector, our very good friend and brother. I'm happy that you are still following us, because this is someone that we cannot write the history of the health sector in the past 8 years without mentioning him. And also distinguished Senator Olorugbi, because of what they did in the health sector. And I'm happy today you are our ambassador in the education sector. Health and education are together. We can't achieve health without education. So I want to really appreciate our president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for the wisdom that he has taken you to the health sector. Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu, you are most welcome, my brother. I must recognize our former Commissioner of Health. He said we should not be saying that, but we must say that. Dr. Idris Jide, because of the work that you have done in Lagos State, since as a permanent secretary and when you became the Commissioner of Health, so much successes were recorded, and it became the learning land for most states of the Federation. I personally, that was my interaction with him, to go and learn in Lagos State. You're welcome. My president, my former friend, Dr. NMA President, you are most welcome, my friend again. So all associations of the DG and the agency, National Health Insurance Authority, it is so much for me to mention, but I acknowledge all of you for the great work you have done in the last few years. It is a great pleasure and honor to celebrate this important milestone in the history of our health system as we unveil the operational guidelines in the National Health Insurance Authority. Honorable Minister and all members of the High Table, please permit me to begin by commending the National Health Insurance Authority under Professor Muhammad Nasir Sambo. He has said it, the Minister in Education. What we saw in the past 20 years ago, the progress has been so slow, and in some cases it has been conflict and crisis in the insurance sector. But in the recent years, within a very short period of time, Professor Sambo and his team have put the National Health Insurance Scheme on track to achieve success. So I want to say a big congratulations. And we saw this happening in Nigeria by one of us and his team. As you know, Mr. President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is very passionate about the health sector and the well-being of Nigerians. Health is in the center of the renewed hope agenda of this administration. He has demonstrated this by clearly stating that this administration's health sector reforms and policy agenda shall be defined by universal health care coverage concept, the same principle undergirding the NHI operational guidelines we are witnessing today. I must mention the work that we did under the Presidential Advisory Committee, which I chaired, and members, one of our members is here, Dr. Idris, where we did several interactions, and a lot of you, we have interacted with you one way or the other in trying to find out where are we stuck in one place, or where we are making progress, where we are making very, very slow progress. I'm happy that we are here today, and we've aligned fully with the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's campaign promises on the health sector. And we've come up with what is called the Renewed Hope Agenda for Health. And I'm glad today we have one of our own, the coordinating minister, who has also fully aligned with that health agenda. And we specified about 4 core areas, which is on health governance, leadership, and institutional reform, to address gaps in governance and improve government to government, government to civil society, government to development partners, including private sector, as well as government with community relationship. Today we are talking about the second aspect of it, which we have brainstormed so well and extensively, which is the health financing, including accountability mechanisms. We've discussed extensively also service delivery, because the president is so concerned about the poor quality of services, not only at the primary healthcare level, but up to the tertiary level of care. And we've thought of redesign, Honorable Minister, to redesign the service delivery scheme in the country to maximize outcomes, to optimize standards and quality of care, and to have right place services by competent providers. I'm happy that the NHI has started working closely with manufacturers of drugs as part of the pillar of their commitment. One of the key areas is to talk about medical industrialization, which the minister has eloquently described in his 4-point agenda. Health, manufacture, and local content, which is part of the executive order of the previous administration. And it has been a struggle operationalizing that local content. We're happy and glad that we are moving forward in localization and improving local production, not only of medicines and consumables, but most importantly, vaccines production. Another area is on the public health emergency and also human resources for health, which has been a huge issue where we have huge gaps. The government is committed to ensure equitable, distributed, and motivated and supported human resources. As Sununu mentioned, we are already benefiting from the brain gain, starting with the Honorable Minister of Health, Coordinator Minister, and also the Minister of State for Health. So we are expecting more to come back home and contribute to the national development. Of course, we can't discuss health without talking about health information management, technologies, and research. And these are areas we need to strengthen partnership with our institutions as well as tertiary institutions, and partnership as well. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the focus area on healthcare financing seeks to foster President's commitment to ensure progressive increase in the total amount allocation to health. And I believe the Honorable Minister is coming off with more innovative ways and approaches to achieve that, not only at the national level, but most importantly, at the subnational level. Because one key challenge that we have seen in Nigeria, there is no commensurate contribution or demonstration of ownership at the subnational level that will lead to sustainable development of the health sector. So these are areas that we need to focus, and I'm glad that federal government at the federal national level has demonstrated commitment and started operationalization of the Basic Health Care Provision Fund and also implementation of the Vulnerable Group Funds, even though there are still lots of gaps and there are lots of lessons to learn. In some of the review of the data we saw that the coverage of women and children is still far, very low, maybe about less than 10 to 15%. And this group of people constitute the most significant part of the vulnerable group. And we do have still the highest maternal mortality globally, and then poor survival of children. When you look at PMTCT, it's still the PMTCT aspect, the prevention of mother to child, that shows the weakest link. So much needs to be done. New approaches we need to come up with to see how do we ensure access to quality services for women and children, especially pregnant women, and also they can have access to emergency obstetric care during childbirth and immediately after that. I'm glad that the National Health Operation Guidelines that we are unveiling today are important for our aspiration to ensure that no one is left behind in the health sector. They are aimed to enable the NHI to fast-track the attainment of mandatory health insurance and thus enable us to move closer towards attaining UHC in Nigeria. As the NHI pursues mandatory health insurance coverage with the help of these guidelines, it is important to emphasize the need to close collaboration with their counterparts in the states. We don't want to have guidelines that will still stay on the shelves, but we have to ensure ways to ensure that we have a result-oriented dissemination of the guidelines so that they could be effectively utilized at the subnational level up to the local government level. So that collaboration at the national level and NHIA, the state counterpart, the State Primary Healthcare Insurance Agency, I'm glad they are represented here by their forum, needs to be stepped down with effective collaboration and capacities developed so that it will yield the desirable results. I once again commend NHI for unveiling the guidelines. There will be need for stakeholders, as I said earlier, to support NHI, our development partners, civil society. Someone did mention the media, to add their voices towards attainment of the objectives of the guidelines. I therefore call on all states and non-state actors to be open and support NHI to fully implement the guidelines for the benefit of Nigerians, most especially Nigerian women and children. I'm sure you will wonder why I'm saying that. We can't record any change without having a positive impact on the vulnerable groups, especially women, children, the elderly, as well as the disabled people, so that they don't become much more poorer than what they are already because of inability to purchase health care. So let's work together to stop this vicious cycle of poverty and to open a vicious cycle of good health, productivity, wealth creation, and sustainable development for our people. Thank you very much, and I'm glad that I'm here.
Can we please appreciate Dr. Salma Ibrahim once more? Dr. Salma is special advisor to the President on Health. I guess that office was made for her because it never existed until now. So I think it's customized for Dr. Salma. Congratulations, ma. Quickly, I'd like to recognize Comrade H.A. Suzu. He's representing the NLC President, Comrade Joe Ajero. They are our strategic partners and stakeholders, NLC. Welcome, please. Thank you for joining us. The DGNHIA had recognized Dr. Ogedegbe, the medical director of Cedar Crest Hospital, in his personal capacity. But I'd like to add that he's also here representing the Healthcare Federation of Nigeria. This is important for our records. We expected Dr. Ibrahim Yahaya Olori Egbe to be part of this event. He was the chairman of the Senate Committee on Health in the 9th Senate, and a reform-minded technocrat with special interest in healthcare financing and indeed, of course, NHIA. But today he is represented, sir, by his beloved daughter, Barrister Hafsat Olori Egbe. Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, sir. We'll just take the quick remark of the Honorable Minister of the FCT, who is represented here by Hajia Amina Zakari. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I want to sincerely apologize for my late coming. The Honorable Minister for Health and Social Welfare, I plead to stand on existing protocol. It's my pleasure, as the Minister of FCT, to be here to witness yet another milestone in the annals of the NHIA. The FHIS and by extension the FCTE, who is by the Minister, Barrister Wike, wishes to facilitate with you over the unveiling of your 2023 operational guidelines. The guidelines, I am told, had been worked upon to accommodate the new National Health Act passed last year. We in the FCT are also in the process of getting our bill passed into law, which will enable us work in tandem with the operational guideline. Otherwise, we are going to be having hitches as we go along. With privilege of being in the FCT, we have cause to work together with NHIA in many programs, one of which recently is the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund. The FCT is already working modalities to correct these anomalies we've been having in our relationship with the NHIA. Congratulations, he said once again, and thank you very much.
We thank you very much, Honorable Minister and Coordinating Minister for Health and Social Welfare. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen here, thank you for your time. I can see on your faces that you're all happy to be here, and maybe you just show me some measure of solidarity if you put your hands together. Thank you so very much. I'm happy that the representative of the Honorable Minister of FCT is here. You are the last on the line to sign the bill into law. I hope that you'll take the message back on behalf of the residents of the FCT. And if you agree with me that the FCT needs to fall in line with other states of the Federation, very important, to sign the bill into law so that vulnerable people in the FCT can benefit from the new NHIA. Please put your hands together. Thank you very much. We should also be knocking on your door all the time to ensure that this is done and is operational. Well, we have listened through the synopsis of the National Health Insurance Agency operational guidelines that will be made public any moment from now. But I'm under pressure to give 2 seconds. I hope the Honorable Minister would allow that the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian will join us very soon. In fact, she's in line to speak. And we have messages from the office. She's going to join us very soon. Sir, do I have your permission for 1 minute? If I can take the microphone to him, the one who is representing all the state commissioners in Nigeria, the Commissioner for Health from Nasarawa State, who would give a commitment on behalf of your colleagues we cannot do it here. It has to be cascaded to the state level. So can you come up to the microphone quickly? You have 1 minute counting from now. No protocols, just let us know.
Good morning, everyone. I must recognize Super Minister. That is how I call him, Super Minister of Health and the Coordinating Minister. Others, please permit me to just keep that. I am just caught off guard. I think I came here being that I was part of the team that developed the operational guideline, and then I'm the immediate past chairman of the Forum of CEOs of Health Insurance across the country. If I want to, I'll be careful to say on behalf of the Commissioners of Health, but knowing who we are, universal health coverage is top on the list of our priority list. So anything I say, I know it binds on all of us. And I will be glad to say that on behalf of all of us, plus the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Secretariat FCT, we will do our best to make sure that we internalize and operationalize this in our various states. And it's coming at the right time where most of the states are even reviewing their operational guidelines. And for those that never had, they are already developing it. I think this will just be the template. I'm sure this one will not be. We will make sure that we do this with all diligence to make sure that all of us are on the same page so that we can be able to start that process that at least we will say in the next 4 years we'll have made remarkable journey towards attainment of universal coverage. Thank you very much, Mama.
Thank you very much, sir. Can we just quickly acknowledge the representative of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Dr.
Still waiting? Yes, but he's looking very young. Don't mind the gray. Okay, please, sir, can we just hear something that the new commissioners need to take home with? Thank you.
Do I look that old? Honorable Minister for Health, may I stand on the existing protocol? I'm sure you all agree with me that a renewed hope is here, just like past speakers have mentioned. But it's a hope, but it's dependent on all of us here working together to make that a reality. We've always said that in this country we have policies, we have laws. Our major problems are implementation. As part of that hope, these guidelines we're here today to unveil were created. It shows that we are moving. We are moving, yes, but it's not going to be easy. We still all have a lot of work to do. And I can bet you the coordinating minister and his team support from every one of us here. That's reality because we're all stakeholders. We put health on the political agenda. We're moving now to implementation. The last bit I want to say is that we need to get the support of our people. They need to understand fully what is in this paper, what health insurance is. This is one area we have to work at. But more importantly, again, I would like to congratulate the DG, Professor Sambo and his team, for this very marvelous work. We've made progress in this country, and I think the Lord will pull us through. All of us, we have to work together. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Ojide Idris. Honorable Minister for Health and Social Welfare, I'd like to acknowledge the arrival of the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Eradication, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Betta Edu. Thank you very much. Welcome, Honorable Minister. Somebody said better is better. And I think I agree. Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Magashi, the Honorable Minister of Health and Social Welfare requests you to please come up and say something from the perspective of the partner community and how we are going to generate energy and support for the effective implementation of the NHIA Act, particularly the operational guidelines.
Thank you very much, our senior brother, the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, for acknowledging the privilege to speak to this August gathering. All the esteemed members of the high table, greetings from the civil society organizations in Nigeria that represent the ordinary people in the street, the Accra sellers, the wheelbarrow pushers, the market women, the people in the classroom, the teachers, the civil society represent all these constituencies. Yesterday, without knowing that I will be attending this meeting, I sent a WhatsApp message to the SSA, to the Minister of Health. I call them key recommendations. And I think these key recommendations I sent to the SSA, to the Minister, they are also very topical to this operational guideline that we are launching today, and also supporting the National Health Insurance Authority. So I'm just going to list them just in bullet point. One is, I call on the Coordinating Minister, but now with the DG, to reactivate the regular media dialogue in the Ministry of Health that brings civil society and media to interact with the leaders of the health sector. This promotes accountability and transparency and provide feedback and leadership to the government. The second recommendation is to organize quarterly town hall meetings across the 6 geopolitical zone. It's also very key to this meeting that this operational guideline need to be moved to the 6th zone and also all 36 states. We also appeal to the Minister and the DG to establish and inaugurate the Council of the National Health Insurance Authority. It's very important. You cannot have an NHA Act implementation without establishing and inaugurating the council. They have to go together. So the NHA is doing so much. You are doing a great work, but it is time to inaugurate and establish the council, which civil society has a seat on the table for that council. So please, as an appeal. And the last appeal we have made is also the Ministerial Oversight Committee of the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund is also has not been effective for a while, which NHI also has the gateway. The 50% CPF gateway goes to NHI.
Who would speak